Well, howdy. It's time to check back in. You're probably wondering where the old man's been. Well, I've been a little busy, but I haven't been busy at all. I'll explain that here in a little bit. The last video I was doing on Ryan's tree, and we was getting ready for the resin pour. I had the resin on order, and I was going to use that time frame to take care of a few little projects around the house and around the shop, getting ready for the move that's coming up. And so today, let me give you a time frame. Today is Friday, the 18th of November. On the 9th of November, I had a little tender spot right along in this area come up on my left arm. No big deal, kind of like I may have bumped it or something. Wasn't terrible, wasn't worried about it, so I went on to bed. About 4 o'clock Thursday morning, I was in the most excruciating pain I have ever been in my life. My hand was swollen from my fingertips to about right into this area, about twice its normal size. The ulnar bone was swollen out to about right there. It was cherry red, warm to the touch, very painful. And like I said, I had never felt pain like this in my life. I couldn't move it without it hurting. I could not find a comfortable spot to even try to get it into without nearly crying with the movements. So I had to wait for my doctor's office to open up. So I called them when they opened, and I told them I'm on the way. I didn't say, do you have room? I told them I'm on the way. And so they took me right straight in when I got there. They're about 22 miles away from me. So Dr. Matthew is looking at it, and he said, have you ever had gout? I said, no, sir, I've never been diagnosed with it. He said, did you fall? And I said, or break it? And he said, I'm wondering if you broke it. And I said, no. I said, I didn't fall. I said, I'm not falling. I said, I didn't bump it. I didn't hit it. And I said, I've got old man skin. I said, if I just bump it, I said, I'll bleed like a stuck pig. And I said, there's no cuts on it, nowhere. So he thought, well, it may have been an ulnar ligament strain. And so he treated me with some anti-inflammatory medicine and some pain meds, and then we went and had some x-rays. Well, the x-rays were negative. There was no break, no fractures, not even a crack. So we ruled out that. So he told me again, this is all on Thursday, and he told me, he said, well, check back in with me Monday and let me know how it's going. Give the pain meds and the anti-inflammatories some time to work. And he wanted me to go ahead and get a brace and put one of these slip-on braces on. So I did. And come Monday morning, I am in so much pain. I pulled the brace off because the brace was just putting too much pressure on that ulnar bone. So I went without the brace. I made that decision myself. And so I called him Monday morning, and I said, I'm on the way again. I said, this is worse. So I get to the office, and well, let me interject a little bit before that. Over the weekend, I reached out to Carmen, a girl that's in our carving group, and she is an OR nurse. And I sent her the pictures just to let her know what's going on. We've developed a good friendship, and I sent them to her just for her to, or a picture to her to take a look at. Well, she forwarded it on to Wendy, who is another lady in our carving group, who is also a medical specialist. And the two of them both thought it might be cellulitis. So I had made a promise to Dr. Matthew when I first started going to him a couple of years ago that I would never self-diagnose myself. I would bring him the symptoms and let him make the diagnosis. And then once he told me what I had, I'd research that. And that's the way I had been doing it. But I apologized to him, and I said, I have reached out to 2 medical professionals, and I said, I reached out to one, she reached to another one, and I said, they think it could possibly be cellulitis. I said, so I apologize for bringing a diagnosis. He says, I can agree. He said, No, he said, I'm not mad. He said, I can agree. It's a very distinct possibility. So that's when we found out that another hand surgeon or a specialist could not see me for about a week and a half to 2 weeks, which was not acceptable. So Dr. Matthews sent me on to Memorial Hermann Southeast. So it was there. They did more blood work, like I said, and checked everything out. And all the blood work they'd pulled, and all the testing they did, there was no signs of cellulitis at all. They asked about gout, and I said, no, I've never been diagnosed with it. And because the issue was in the wrist, it's very rare for gout to be associated with the wrist. It's possible, but it's rare that it is that way. So they just kind of put that on the back burner. So they changed my meds for me, gave me a little bit higher pain medicine than what I was taking, and told me to give it 2 days. And if it wasn't better after 2 full days on the meds, to come back to the ER, and they would more than likely admit me, change meds, and possibly have to go in and surgically clean out the infection. So I go home, and long story short, I was supposed to have called them back on Thursday. On Wednesday I called them and I said, I'm coming in. I said, because the pain had already radiated to my elbow. And I said, I'm not letting it go any higher than that. I said, this is ridiculous. So I'm driving in. I call my doctors. I'm headed towards the ER because I have to drive past their office to get to the hospital. And I said, do you want me to stop in for y'all to see it? And they said, no, go straight to the ER. So I did. And again, they were waiting for me when I got there, and they took me in real quick. I saw a different doctor this time, and he asked about the gout. I said, no, I'd never been diagnosed with it and all. So the first doctor I saw on Monday at the ER was also on duty. So the two of them got together and discussed. And so more testing. They did not do x-rays, but they did some more testing with blood and whatnot. And the numbers for gout were all in the normal range. There was no gout there according to the blood work. So according to all the blood work, no gout, no cellulitis, but I've got the physical symptoms of both. So what they decided to do was go ahead and treat me for both the gout and the cellulitis, and which entailed another change of meds and yet higher dosages of some pain meds. So they changed my medicines and all, and told me to check back in, if it was better. And then they also gave me the number of a hand surgeon that they wanted me to make an appointment with. So the next morning, I don't leave the ER until about 9:30 that night. They did a lot of testing with me and stuff. So it's too late to call the doctor. So I go home, and my son and daughter-in-law had to come pick me up and get my car because some of the medicines that they gave me through an IV, they did not want me driving, which is not that big a deal. So my kids come got me. And I told my son, I said, well, I'll just call the doctor's office in the morning and, just tell them what's going on. And I said, I'll just make an appointment right then and go see him when I can. Well, the next morning I woke up, and I mean, good gosh almighty, it's a difference of night and day. I mean, the pain is virtually, 3/4 gone. The swelling was down. It was still slightly swollen, but it was down. The redness had not gotten any smaller, but it had gotten lighter in color. I did not have pain up to my elbow anymore, so I said, well, this is working. I'm gonna let this rock on a little bit more. So each day since, it's gotten better, so I'm gonna stick with it. I did call the doctor today and made an appointment. And again, this doctor is in the Memorial Hermann network, so he has access to everything that's been done to me, both in my regular doctor's office as well as what was done at the hospital. So he can see everything that's been done and kind of have a better idea of what's going on, because like I said, the two ER doctors had no idea. They do not have a diagnosis for me. They don't know what it is. They're both perplexed. So I want to know what it is. And so hopefully this new doctor that I'm going to go see, the specialist, will be able to figure out what it is and, you know, give me some idea of what I'm fighting. But long story short, I can grab things, I can pick up things. Obviously I'm not picking up anything real heavy, but I can't squeeze anything real hard. If I go to squeezing, then it hurts. Now I can make my fists, I can flex my wrist back and forth. As you can see, the left one doesn't go back as much as the right, because that's where I start feeling the pain. And I can go a little more this way, but not as far with the left, for the same reason, or back this way. I've got full range on the right, but I don't have quite that range. But what I do have is pretty much pain-free as I stay in this area. Where you're not going to get me to do is to roll my arm either way. That one's not rolling, because when I do that, I'm going back through the roof. It's very painful to do that. So we'll see what's going on with it. So that's what's had me tied up for a while. I've made a lot of trips to Houston and back over this last week and few days and whatnot, but I feel a whole lot better today. So I really want to thank the two doctors that saw me in the ER and have gotten me the relief that I've gotten. So that's what the old man's been up to. As they say, this too shall pass, and when it quits hurting, it'll feel good. So anyway, I jest, but in all honesty, I really want to thank the doctors in the ER who helped me out. And I definitely want to thank Carmen and Wendy for at least getting us on the right path to begin with. I thank you girls both for what y'all did for me. So hopefully when I come back in the next video, we will be wrapping up Ryan's tree. And I want to thank my customer, Tony. He has been extremely patient and understanding for me. And Tony, we've got a new project date line established, and I'm going to do my best to make sure that we can make this happen. If at all possible and God's willing, we're going to make this work. So anyway, until the next one comes out, if y'all would, hug all you family and friends, let them know you love them, and God bless.